Greetings and welcome there, people of YouTube. This is Essence Forte doing a video response to Zers, another YouTube user who did a video response to my Why Fighting Religion is Necessary, which was done last year and was also my 100th video special. I kind of missed my 200th video special, however, of course, we've got the big 10k coming up in a couple of months, so I'll be certainly doing something for that. So anyway, due to the length of the response video, I will be cutting out bits of my original video from this, but I'll leave it enough to give a basic understanding of what he's responding to. Then it will cut back to me here, and I shall respond to that. I'm just informing you before we start, so you do know what's going on, etc. Just pointing that out. However, as always, the links will be down below to both his response and also my original video. So with that said, let us continue.
What's going on, guys? Zers here. Now, while this is not the Essence of Thought video response that you wanted, this is the video response that you needed. No, I'm just messing with you. While I am preparing to respond to Essence of Thought's challenge on the best argument I have for God, I decided to take a look at his channel and go deeper, go way back in time, you know what I'm saying? To check out his older videos. And the one I stumbled upon was the reasons why he fights against religion, basically why he is an anti-theist. And I decided, may as well take a gander at this and respond to it, because I feel like if these are the reasons why he's against religion, well then, he's not really against religion. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Let's go.
Well, there are a couple of things to mention here. First of all, as already previously stated, this video is over a year old. I mean, sometimes I don't even make it to the end of the month before going back and watching the video that I have produced this month and going, you know what, if I did that again, I'd do things a little bit differently. That's sort of the artist's curse. I mean, it's the exact same with my drawing, as I want to start a webcomic, but I fear to start because I know I'm going to get 2 or 3 pages in, go back to the first page and go, oh, well, I can correct this, and it's just going to be an endless cycle. Then there's the fact that no, it's not all of my reasons, and certainly not some of my very personal reasons on why we should fight religion. It was just a general selection and some points. I mean, I now have a very strong point that I've been going on, but I'm sure you will give me ample opportunity to go into that. So, yeah, just a few things to mention before we continue. Why are my actions as an individual so militant? If you consider voicing an opinion on the same level as shooting an abortion doctor, launching missiles into civilian populations, or flying a plane into the side of a skyscraper, as defines the militant Christian, Jew, or Muslims.
Now you know damn well that's not what people mean when they say militant atheist. In fact, one of the definitions of the word militant, according to Google, it is combative, aggressive, in support of a political or social cause, and typically favoring extreme, violent, or confrontational methods. So, extreme? No. Violent? Not at all. Confrontational? Definitely. So, yes, some atheists are definitely militant.
And yet, the point of my comment was to acknowledge the fact that when talking about militant with religious individuals, you are talking about violent and homicidal individuals. However, when talking about militant and atheist, you are mainly just talking about people who go out and give their opinion, and religious individuals don't like that as such. I fail to see the way in which you disputed this. Well, I have my reasons for standing up and airing my opinion in a peaceful manner.
Although very peaceful, you do it in a very condescending manner. And in fact, it's more so condescending than it is peaceful.
I'm certainly verbally aggressive, and I certainly get annoyed when people don't check their facts, because not only are they just stating something, they're recording it, editing it, watching it, and then uploading it, and then they still stand by it and defend it, It's not a case of they just stated something. When I'm in person talking to someone, I'm generally a lot nicer because I understand people are thinking on their feet. Even I don't do so well when talking to someone in person or on my feet, etc. So I do go a bit easier there. However, say I am patronizing, I am condescending. That's in no way exclusive with peaceful. You know, I'd much rather be a condescending dick than, say, a violent killer. You know, that's what I'd much rather be. It goes back to the previous point I've already made. They are exclusive organizations by their very design.
What the fudge are you talking about? Churches and organized religions are available to anyone and everyone who wants to join that church. They're not exclusive at all. If you want to join a church, you can. You can join any church you want to join. What?
Well, my point is pretty simple. Churches should not receive tax exemption when, yes, they do exclude certain demographics. An alternative which could cater to everyone would be secular alternatives, i.e. community centres and the likes, because then they do in fact cater to everyone, compared to churches or different religious groups that will not cater to the non-believer. Very basic understanding. And also, if you still want to keep your churches, then surely donations from their followers can cover the taxes. Then why is it that they receive such a privilege?
The answer is pretty obvious. It's because churches solely survive based off the donations given to them by their members. Members who could be anyone, any race, any sex, anything. Anyone can be a member of any church they so choose. And again, churches survive off of the donations given to them by their members. Because they're all donations. You cannot tax somebody's donation.
No, that's a false statement. Churches often have businesses out of the back of their churches, or even purchase property to rent out or to sell on, etc. So they are very much operating like a business. Let's just do some basic maths, right? Churches, or should I say religious organizations, receive $71 billion in tax exemption each year. There are 313 million US citizens. Now, are you claiming that each one of those US citizens annually donate over $200? This is including children. Donate over $200 annually. And that's only taking into consideration the tax exemption. That's not taking into consideration the entire profit margin of the theocratic financial empire, if you will. Your statement there about it just being donations doesn't add up. That comes out of everybody's pocket.
Wait, okay. First of all, that argument would only work if the government was taking the taxes from everybody and then giving that money to the church. That's not what's happening. Individual churches are being donated to by individual members of those churches. Also, some churches, like I think T.D. Jakes' church, likes to sell different types of books and DVDs. I know EX Ministries has lots of different DVDs and not book series, but DVDs that they sell on their website. They solely survive based off the donations that people give them. I mean, to be against religion or organized religion because they survive off of people's donation is to be against Patreon. And if I'm correct, you are actually a member of Patreon, Essence of Thought.
Right, well, this was refuted earlier in my original video when I discussed how the churches still use the fire services and the police services, i.e. services that everyone pays for, is then given to the church for free. Thus, that money is coming directly out of everybody's pocket. Do you see that transaction there? The government takes money from one group of people, uses it for a service that it then gives to another organisation for free. A very basic understanding there. I mean, as for Patreon, when I am no longer a student, I still have to pay my council tax, which again covers my local services. So even though I'm receiving donations through Patreon, yes, as a British citizen, when I am no longer a student, I will be paying council tax. Every US citizen pays on average $225 each year whether religious or not.
You know, for someone who prides yourself on logic and reasoning and sensibility, that makes no sense at all. I've watched the video literally 4 times. I've watched that section 4 times. I do not see how you can say that people are paying for religious services if they're not attending or donating to said service. That makes no sense. I really hope that if you ever see this video and you ever respond or say something, that you can explain that concept to me, because from what you've said, the two, they don't correlate. They don't make no sense. Sorry.
100,800,000 individuals who do not associate with any religion paying for religious practices.
No, by donating. Unless those non-religious people are donating to the individual churches, your argument falls to shit.
Except for the before mentioned services, which, reminder again, everyone pays into, yet the churches get for free. Non-religious individuals pay into them, and the church gets that money for free, even though they exclude non-believers. Medical services don't exclude anyone. Social services don't exclude anyone. Religious services do. Therefore, they are not on the same level, and it's actually unconstitutional. It's quite simple. Tax the churches. If that church should survive, then surely God will the people to donate a little bit more to cover that tax difference. If not, that small church will close down along with several other smaller churches, and they will all congregate in a single larger church. It comes to a total of around $22,680,000,000 US dollars each year from non-religious US citizens going directly into the pockets of churches by paying for their services. To give you an idea of the impact of this money, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organizations, i.e. the FAO, estimates that an annual sum of $30 billion US dollars over a decade could eradicate world hunger, regardless of religious affiliation.
How? Seriously, how? Are the children going to eat the green dollars? How is money going to solve world hunger? No, to be completely literal, food is going to solve world hunger, or more specifically, the production of food.
Not even I'm that condescending. Yes, I know about agriculture. Yes, I know about infrastructure. I was merely giving people a quantifiable amount which was given by the UN. Well done.
You mean to tell me they're going to use those $300 million to fund the production of food to help end world hunger? Then yes. But again, your argument already failed because churches survive solely off the donation of its paying members. Also, there are several different charities that are specifically designed to help end world hunger. Specifically designed, mind you. There's over 100. I know I can find a list of like 10 of them that I'm about to read off to you right now. So here are the 10, the top 10 charities that are created to end world hunger. You have 1, Action Against Hunger. 2, Feeding America. 3, Bread for the World Institute. 4, Food Bank for New York City. 5, Freedom from Hunger. 6, The Hunger Project. 7, Hyper International. 8, Meals on Wheels. 9, Share Our Strength. And 10, Food for the Hungry. There's a list of 10 charities specifically designed to end world hunger. If those charities, which are specifically designed to help end world hunger, aren't making a dent in the problem, well then getting rid of religion won't help either.
Oh, could it possibly be that the UN likely calculated pre-existing charity organizations into figuring out how much more money it would require to stop world hunger? Could that possibly be why? Also, could it possibly be the fact that no, these organizations do not have that $30 billion, not million, but $30 billion annually secured over a steady period of time? Your argument is pretty much these people are not fixing the issue instantly. Therefore, no, we shouldn't give them any more resources that they actually require to do so.
Ironically, the third organization, which was bred for the World Institute, is actually a faith-based organization to confront Americans and world leaders about the policies. The third one is a faith-based organization to end world hunger. You get rid of religion, you get rid of that charity which is specifically designed to end world hunger. Your case isn't looking too good right now, Essence of Thought.
Why? The money would just be rerouted to secular charities who don't hold food at ransom to preach and don't spend money to preach in the first place. I mean, when you compare charity rates, non-religious and religious give about the same. Religious have a more stable rate, whereas the non-religious give depending on them as a person. However, it averages out about the same. So it wouldn't decrease the money going in. It would just mean that it would be rerouted somewhere where it could be used more effectively. That is 73.3% of the tab already covered if the US government stopped charging non-religious people for the practices of others.
The US government is not charging people for the practices of religious organizations. If the US government was, that would be strictly against the First Amendment of the US Constitution.
Then we agree by the Constitution that these churches and these organizations must be taxed because they are reliant upon services which, yes, the non-religious individuals are also footing the bill for. You can't just run away from that and claim that these churches aren't exclusionary, when yes, by definition, as a religious organization, they exclude non-religious people. Ergo, it is unconstitutional by its own right. Very basic. Just to note, I also mentioned the civil services part about the firemen and policemen in my original video. Therefore, you could have predicted that this was going to come up. Throughout history, religion has proven itself time and time again to be the reason or even the excuse behind the most heinous of occurrences.
You want to know what else has been used as an excuse? The theory of evolution, rage, anger, frustration, the fact that some races are not as superior as others. Those are also excuses used to do very horrible things to people. In 1871, I think, the U.S. government scrapped all treaties with Native Americans because they thought that they were a race of stupid natives and didn't know what was going on. And then they forced them to go traverse the Trail of Tears on reservations. Nothing to do with religion, and yet an entire group of people lost their homes because someone thought that they were inferior. Nothing to do with religion, just because the U.S. government wanted the land.
And you've linked that to evolutionary theory how? Evolution is a field of science. It is amoral. Darwin himself, however, did not agree with the idea of superior races. Cultures is a different matter, but superior races he was against, to the point that he was an abolitionist before the American Civil War had taken place in the US. And talking of the American Civil War, it is the Bible that teaches that certain groups of people and certain demographics are the superior, and that you may keep men from different nations indefinitely. This was used as justification for slavery during the Civil War. Boom. Mic drop. So anyway, that's enough for today. I wanted to cut out all of my segments and just play Xerxes and we could get it over and done with in one video. However, I felt that without the little bits of mine on the end and then leading into him, it didn't make particularly most sense. So it's going to have to be a two-part special. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that I had to keep drumming on about the facts that yes, churches are using public services that everyone is paying for, including the secular citizen, the non-religious citizen, as it's just a point that needed to be addressed, and it was in my original video. If we could actually just play that clip, it's from 1 minute 30 or 1 minute 35 in my original video, i.e. the very first video, the one that he's responding to. If we just play that quickly. Receiving free public services such as fire protection and policing. So yes, anyway, Xerts, thank you for making the video. It has been much appreciated. You were nice-ish sort of response. It was only really towards the end there with that last comment about evolution that things got really sketchy all of a sudden, you know. That was something that I'd expect a creationist to use. And if you'd probably started off with that, it probably wouldn't have gone so well, but we'll see where you go with this anyway. So, yeah. That's what I wanted to say, and I will get on to the next video response. If you guys have enjoyed my work, then please check out my Patreon. Don't forget to click like, comment, subscribe, as well as share on Facebook and Twitter. It really does help when you guys share this video. It ups my traffic, I grow faster, and that way I'm more likely to enthusiastically make more videos. So yes, and if you'd like to check out my own Facebook and Twitter, links down below so you can do so. I do post updates now and then, although I have been kind of neglecting Twitter a bit. So yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. This is Essence of Fort. Take care and out.